in the last stream, we were working on deep mob learning. We got ourselves the deep learner, the simulation chambers, one of each of a skeleton, creeper, blaze, and zombie data model, and we even went and killed 6 skeletons, zombies, creepers, and blazes, so that we now have a basic data model for all 4 of those mobs. And I believe that we were on the verge of being able to make this loot fabricator here. I think the only thing that we don't have right now for this is potentially some of the molybdenum ingots, but we also don't have the signalum gear, but thankfully I have gone ahead between streams and put together the 8 signalum ingots, although I guess actually we only need 4, right? We would only need 8 if we were going to make 2 loot fabricators, which we might do at some point in the future. For now, I think 1 will do just fine. And between streams, I have gone ahead and done a little bit in the way of reorganizing of kind of this area here, right? And kind of the whole base in general. I filled in some of the holes and moved some of the stuff that was still kind of lingering over here in the last stream. Specifically, I've moved the crafting grid and the disk drive to the center of our storage draw network. I've moved our machines over, and they are hooked up with power as well. Power, still for now, exactly the same as it was before. And I've also added a few more drawers for some of the elements that weren't quite getting into their own drawer. They were kind of getting backed up in the system. And speaking of drawers, we did work in the last stream on trying to organize all of the drops coming out of our mob farm. And in doing so, I did make a couple of mistakes. The first one is that I didn't make sure that we had a specific draw slot for all of the items coming out, right? We had these ones up here, but right now, all of the items that are coming out of the chest and going into the drawers are going in via the controller. So we have to have a drawer for iron, for redstone, for glowstone, infinity booster cards, skulls, and for these dimlets. And the dimlets actually lead to another problem, and that is that previously we were pulling out all of the loot crates into the loot crate opener, and then all of the stuff from the loot crates was then getting pulled around and into here as well. And that also means that you have to have a drawer for everything that the loot crates can produce. Now, for some of the loot crates, that's not too bad, right? If we go ahead and type in loot crate, the basic loot crate just provides white antimatter and then a bunch of elements and compounds, all of which already have their own draw slot, so that is fine. The second tier, that being this one, I believe, is also not too bad. This one just produces dimlet parcels, which again, we can store fairly easily in one draw slot. The slightly harder one is the third tier, this loot crate right here, because this produces a ton of stuff. And unless we want to have a storage drawer dedicated to each one of these, we can't really have them being automatically opened by the loot crate opener and then pumped around into the drawer controller like we're doing with the other 2 crates. And so for now, at least, what I've done is I've taken this loot crate off of the filter. So for now, these kind of pink loot crates, purple loot crates, these kind of pink loot crates here are just going to sit in this chest, which I think is probably fine. Eventually, we might end up looking at maybe putting them in like a second loot crate opener that then deposits things into the refined storage system. I think that would work a little bit nicer. We could also just start looking at putting these directly into their own storage drawer and opening them in the future. For now, we can go ahead and open these ones. And we do get some pretty useful stuff. We get some more fast vector plates, some more lights, which I think do look pretty nice. Drops of evil, a cake, the storage upgrades are always very welcome. And I believe we do have quite a few items in here as well that I got between streams from just all of the stuff. We've got iron drums in here. We've got, I guess, another loot crate right there, which I will pop open. More soda squads, a bunch of stuff that could come in useful in the future, but for now, we don't have a drawer for. And so that kind of was backing the whole thing up and is one of the reasons why it took us so long to get all of the hassium here in the last stream, because we had a bunch of it, but it was all backed up inside the loot crate opener because the loot crate opener couldn't send all of its items through because it was getting backed up on items that didn't have space, right? And there are kind of 2 things, I think, that I want to work on in today's stream. I do want to get the loot fabricator, and I think we can probably start using the simulation chamber. It is going to mean that we have to get some polymer clay, which is not a particularly difficult recipe in and of itself. Are we out of gold? We are. Okay, so we have to go get some more gold, actually. But getting the polymer clay isn't going to be too bad. We can make clay, I think, fairly easily. I think it is going to be a bit of a pain to automate the process because getting things like aluminum oxide automatically could prove somewhat difficult, but I think we can do it eventually. I'd also like to look at getting the angel ring. This is going to allow us creative flight, and it really doesn't seem too difficult. It requires 4 of these palladium ingots, which are super easy to make. We made them in the last stream. You can get them fairly easily from palmwood, which we can farm nice and quickly. It also requires some glass. Again, not a problem. 1 ghast here, which I think we actually already have. Yeah, I did end up fighting a ghast in the nether, so we have that ready to go. 1 samarium ingot. This is made from, you guessed it, samarium, which you can get from brown antimatter, which now we can make because we have the neodymium. And then finally, it requires the ring of the flying squid. To get the ring of the flying squid, we need an actual squid in a golden lasso. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there aren't really that many ponds around in the antimatter dimension. And so I think we're going to have to make our own pond, potentially. The second hurdle, of course, for spawning squid is that you have to spawn them in, or they only spawn in, below, I think, Y level 60 or 64. And so you'll notice we're at Y level 109, and the world here only goes down to Y level 100, bang on. So if we're going to get squids to spawn, I think we are going to have to go and do it in the deep dark. After that, we also have to get a chicken wing ring. The rest of this is easy enough, by the way. Diamonds, ender pearl, and black dye, pulverized charcoal. And then the chicken wing ring is feathers, iron, a chicken in a golden lasso, and then some resonating redstone crystals. So feather-wise, we have feathers from zombies, I think, in the spawner there. As far as a chicken goes, I think the only way that we can actually get a chicken is via eggs. Eggs we can make in the chemical combiner with calcium carbonate and protein. Protein we have, and we can make fairly easily from things like rotten flesh. We actually don't have any right now, but again, we do have that rotten flesh there, and if we go ahead and grab some of that and throw it over in the dissolver here, we get a bunch of protein nice and quickly. And then as for the calcium carbonate, this is made either with calcium and carbonate, which actually we might have both of those now that I think about it. Calcium we do have for strong teeth and bones, and then carbonate we also actually have in a small quantity. We did make some before, and I think we could make more. Yeah, it's just carbon and oxygen, both of which I'm fairly certain that we should have in fairly large amounts here. So you know what? Let me go ahead and quickly whip up some more of this. Because, of course, we don't know how many eggs it's going to take to get a chicken. So I think what we'll do is we will make a few eggs, try and get at least 1 chicken. I think preferably we'd like to get at least a few chickens so that we can, breed them going forward, and we don't have to keep making them over and over again. And then while we wait for them to grow up, we'll go and we'll try and get some squid to spawn over in the deep dark. So let's see here. We're trying to make an egg. Let me bookmark that. For that, we need the calcium carbonate, which we should now be able to make. Calcium and carbonate. Boom and boom. I'm being told by the Twitch chat that we already have some calcium carbonate. Oh, we totally do. I guess you saw that when I typed in calcium before. That's fine. And so over here, if we just do the calcium carbonate and the protein, we should actually get quite a few eggs. Does anyone know the percentage chance on an egg? What are the odds of getting a chicken out of each egg? Apparently not particularly high, as it turns out. All right, let's try some more, I guess. Hey! Okay, so we got 1, which I think is fine for now. Obviously, like I said, I think it'd be great if we could get more in the future. I am going to defense this guy in, if we can here. I think that's going to make it a little bit more likely that he doesn't die between now and when we actually need him. So let's just go ahead and, we'll let him live on the grass there. That's completely fine. If you could just stay there, my friend, that would be grand. I do believe that we can, of course, feed him seeds if we want to grow up faster, but I think that's fine. So, if we're going to get a squid, we need to go to the deep dark. Let me go and check. My deep dark portal is now over here. Let's go and check what Y level we're currently at. Like, we've already dug down quite far, obviously down to like Y level 11 for diamonds. But then I'm kind of interested in what Y level the open area is at. It's also always so dark in here. I think it's a visual glitch. Yeah, because it comes right back as soon as you break and replace the torch. This is not my deep dark. Oh, if you move the portal, it moves your... okay. That is less than ideal. I was not aware of the fact that moving the portal would move my deep dark spawn entrance. I was under the impression that much like with the nether portal, if you moved it, it would still kind of link back to the old spawn area. That is fine. We've got our slime boots on, so we can dig straight down here, so long as we have our torches at the ready. I have been told by the Twitch chat that we can find water in the deep dark, so it's quite possible there might be some squid in here already. We should definitely, if that is the case, get a golden lasso before we head on through, just so that we're ready. And I also should have my dev null on me, so we don't end up picking up way too much cobblestone as we go forward here. But let's see. So golden lasso. This guy, not too hard to make, and thankfully we do have everything it takes to make it. However, you do have to make it in a non-digital crafting table, because it does require experience. I do believe you can do it in the crafting table from Tinker's Construct. You totally can. Nice. So yeah, it does require a few levels, and that's why you can't do it in there. So that's fine. And I guess can we pick you up? We can pick you up. I don't know. Does that count? That might count, right? Let's have a look. If I break this without killing the chicken, I assume for the purposes of the craft, that counts as a chicken? Yeah, I can't imagine why that wouldn't count. So you know what? We can probably keep that. Do you get the lasso back, chat, when you craft? Like, if I craft this recipe, does it just take the chicken and I get the lasso back, or does it take the lasso as well? So the Twitch chat is telling me that I do get the lasso back. And that's making me think that we should probably do the craft for the first ring, that being the chicken wing ring now. That way we can, you know, not have to make a second lasso. So if we want to make this, the only thing we're missing are the feathers, which we have in our mob spawner. And then we actually already have some resonating redstone crystals. I'm not quite sure where we got the resonating redstone crystals from, and I'm not going to complain about it. Boom. There's our chicken wing ring. The crystals are not too difficult to make, even if you don't have them. They're made with redstone and ender shards. Ender shards are ender pearls with a glass cutter. The glass cutter is just iron and sticks. So making those ender shards really isn't too bad, and getting the redstone crystal also not too bad either. So this does require grid power, which we don't have yet, and I think that's fine. We're not going to be using this just yet. It does mean, though, that we now have the golden lasso ready to go. So let's grab some water, just in case we do have to build our own pond. And then let's head back through to the deep dark and see if we can't find some squid. All right. So yeah, like I said, I was told, well, what Y level are we at? It looks like we're fairly low, actually, on the Y level front. And I have been told that, yes, we can find water in the deep dark. So I guess it's entirely possible, maybe if we like vein mine out some area here, it's entirely possible that we could just find pre-existing squid in these ponds. Here we go. Look at that. Perfect. Okay, hello, my friend. I will take you. Beautiful. That was actually a lot easier than I was anticipating. Beautiful. So that should basically be everything, I think. So for the chicken wing ring here, the only thing that we are missing is that lasso. Boom. And that is now done. And then for the angel ring, the only things we're missing are the palladium, which of course, as we saw, we can make with palm wood, and the samarium, which we can get from the brown antimatter. So let's get a bunch of brown antimatter going, and let's dissolve that over here. And then while we're waiting for that to dissolve, and hopefully get us a good amount of samarium, in fact, we might have enough samarium. We don't quite, but we do now with this over here. And we didn't need that much brown antimatter, but that's fine. We can leave that doing its thing nonetheless. There we go. And so, yeah, we just need the palm wood, right? Get the night vision. That's a good point, actually. Before we start cutting down too many trees. How does one go about adding this? Do you just put it on, like, in here? So if I do, let's say, I guess, do we need... We got the armor forge. If I do this and this, yeah, that does work. It does take up a modifier slot, but I think that's fine. That gives us night vision. Status inactive. So you're looking for the construct armor accessories control. It's hard to see here. I've set that to numpad 9. So right now it is inactive. If I press numpad 9 and go back in, it's now active. So as you can see, people are telling me it takes up durability. So yeah, the durability is ticking down slowly just by having night vision on, which is less than ideal, of course. How many modifiers do we have here? We've got 3. These can be leveled up. Like right now, it's got an XP of 48 out of 200, and you can level the armor up via taking damage. So it is quite possible what we could do is we could, for example, stand on like a spike to take damage to level up our helmet, I think. If we level it up twice, we get to 5 modifiers, at which point I believe we could then add a bunch of reinforcements to it to give it unbreaking. Once it becomes unbreaking, you can then, not have to worry about the night vision and leave it on all the time, right? So a stack should be enough palm wood here. Again, if we run that all in there, that should get us 64 palladium. It does, perfect. At which point we can then go ahead and unlock that recipe and hopefully get 4 palladium ingots. Nice. And at that point, chat, we're basically there, right? Yeah, and there we go, Angel Ring, which is creative mode flight so long as you have enough grid power to use it. Now, in order to get grid power, we need one of the mills from Extra Utilities 2. Out of all of the mills, I'm pretty sure that the water mill is the best. I'm still not quite sure what the logic is here. It does say that it can produce 4 grid power, but it can actually produce 16. And to make it, we need 6 stone burnt, 2 redstone gears, and another resonating redstone crystal. We still have enough crystals. We do need 2 of these, but we do have 2 resonating redstone crystals. So the redstone gears are just redstone torches and wood. So we need 8 redstone torches, which again shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. And then the stone burnt is made in the resonator. So the resonator doesn't look too bad. We need 2 soot-covered redstone, a block of coal, a resonating redstone crystal, and then an antimony ingot. This could prove difficult. So antimony trioxide. Oh, it's made from light blue dye. So actually, this should be perfectly fine. We can use bone meal and lapis to get light blue dye, and hopefully a fair amount of it. Let's go ahead and put all of the neodymium away there. And we really don't have a draw for cellulose, or is that cellulose draw full? Got some psilocybin up there. It looks like we don't have one for cellulose, which is actual madness, but I will come back to that. It also looks like we don't have one for neodymium either, but that's fixable. So that gets us the trioxide. If we break that down, that gets us the antimony, and we just did the 1 antimony ingot, right? So that is actually perfectly fine. And then, what else are we missing here? We don't have the aluminum ingots. However, we do have aluminum oxide, and presumably, if we break that down into aluminum and oxygen and then turn the aluminum into ingots, that will work perfectly fine. It does. Nice. And then what else were we missing here? I should probably bookmark the resonator so we'd have to keep going back. That's actually everything. Cool. Now, you do need some grid power to use the resonator itself, and therefore I believe we do have to start at least with the manual mill here. But again, the manual mill, really not going to be a problem. We need 1 more of the redstone gears, as well as 2 polished stone, which is regular stone bricks crafted. So I think we do this, and then this. We do. That should get us the manual mill. It does. And then at that point, if we put this down, this guy down, for now, like over here, and you can put the manual mill anywhere, but we'll put it like right there for now. And then if we put in more polished stone, that should turn the polished stone into stone burnt. Now we need 6 stone burnt, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get another set of stone bricks, another set of polished stone, and over here, if we throw that in and right-click on the manual mill, that is going to start to produce 15 grid power, which is going to slowly but surely turn the polished stone into stone burnt. And there we go, 6 stone burnt. That should get us our first water mill. Again, we do need 2 of these because each one only produces 16 grid power, and we need 32 for the angel ring. But what we can do now is if we get our reservoir and make sure it's set to empty, we can then begin to put these down. So I think what I will do, how do I do this? 1, 2, 3, space 1, 2, 3. That seems perfect. Okay, so if we do something like this, we need to dig out a 3x3 by 1 area, put down the water mill, and then if you put water in the 2 opposing corners, like that, this guy is now producing 16 grid power. Perfect. That does mean that if we wanted to get another water mill, what we can do now is we can, of course, once again, get all of the stone that we like, craft that into stone bricks, craft those stone bricks into polished stone, and then this time, we can just let the resonator go and it'll work on its own because we're producing the 8 grid power required here with our water mill, right? So no longer do we actually need the manual mill. We can, in fact, go ahead and put that away now. And then I do believe that we are now out of resonating redstone crystals. We are indeed. And so let's quickly go ahead and grab a glass cutter. Craft that with an ender pearl. Take our 8 shards. And then get another resonating redstone crystal. Nice. And boom. Cool. So let's go and throw that down. And so we should now be producing 32 grid power, which I believe is enough for us to fly. Look at that. We are cutting it kind of thin. Like, we need 32, and we're producing exactly 32. It does mean that if we do anything else that requires grid power, then our creative flight is going to be stalled. Like, we're going to drop from the sky, which is less than ideal. All right. So we have 3 water mills now, which gives us a little bit of a buffer of grid power. You can see we're producing 48 and then using 32 while we fly. So we should have a little bit of leeway there just in case anything does start to use grid power whilst we're in the air. And so what I want to work on next is I want to start working towards getting some plastic, because everything from industrial foregoing requires plastic. And there are a couple of things that we do want from industrial foregoing. The mod adds mob duplicators, which you might use later on down the line. But I think some of the most important things it adds are the laser drill, which is a machine that allows us to generate ores from nothing. So we can give this thing power and generate ores, which is basically a kind of a digital quarry that can generate resources for us. It also adds a planter and a harvester, which would allow us to automatically farm and not only all of the things that we have here, but also potentially wood. We could get like a tree farm going to give us infinite wood, which I think would be pretty useful. We could use that for fuel for like furnaces. We could use that in some kind of dynamos to get even more power. We could also just use it to get more cellulose and more elements that way. And so there's quite a lot of stuff from industrial foregoing that I think we're going to want to get into, and all of the machines from industrial foregoing require plastic. So, to make plastic, we first need a latex processing unit. We also need a tree fluid extractor to actually extract the latex. So, the tree fluid extractor is easy enough. It is 6 stone, 1 furnace, 1 redstone, and an iron gear. The latex processing unit, also pretty simple, 4 iron, 1 redstone, 2 furnaces, 1 machine frame, and an iron gear. So let's grab 8 iron and throw that over in the old compactor here. That should get us the 2 iron gears that we need. As for the machine frame definitely requires a tin gear, so we'll throw 4 tin in here as well, just as soon as this is done. And then for the rest of the machine frame, what else did we need? We needed indium and scandium. Indium, we need 2 ingots worth, which is 32. And then scandium is exactly the same, so another 32. Let's do you and you. And then boom. And boom. Nice. There's the latex processing unit. And the tree fluid extractor is just missing a little bit in the way of stone, which is perfectly fine. We've got some smelting up down there. And then we go. That gets us the tree fluid extractor as well. So these are pretty simple machines. If we were to, and we're going to put them down back here because this is where our power is, but if we put down the tree fluid extractor, and I kind of want that facing forward. This guy doesn't require any power, but the latex processing unit does require power, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So the tree fluid extractor will, you guessed it, extract fluid from trees. Now, as of right now, we don't have any trees, and I don't know if we can use palm wood. I will check, because it might work. But the idea is you put down wood in front of it, and then it begins producing latex. It doesn't look like that's going to work. I'll leave that there just in case it does work. But in the meantime, let's grab some regular old oak saplings and see if we can't get some more oak logs, which I know almost certainly will work. So let's put those down here. And yeah, you can see that starts to produce latex. We then need to get the latex over into the latex processing unit. And I think what I might do for this, do we have what it takes to make a flat fluid transfer node? I think we do. It's a little pricey, mostly because it requires an anvil, which as of right now we don't have. But I think I will make it because the the flat fluid transfer nodes are actually pretty nifty in that they allow you to move fluids from one block to another, but they don't take up a block's worth of space. So we'll get the regular 4 transfer nodes, and then we'll get an anvil, preferably a non-damaged anvil here. There we go. So yeah, these are pretty cool, because what we can do is if we break the latex processing unit, and then we, I think, shift right-click on here, that should now take any fluid out of here and push it into the block here. And it totally does, look at that. So we're now moving the fluid between these 2 blocks without any kind of fluid pipe. You could, of course, use fluid ducts from thermal expansion. Those would also work. But, you know, it just takes up more space. This is a bit cleaner. And then I believe we also need water. Yes. And I think for now, I'm going to go ahead and snag the aqueous accumulator here. We've not really been using the salt all that much. Like at all. We've got 16,000 of it, and we've not used it really much at all. If we need the salt in the future, if we need it for some part of automation, we can always make another aqueous accumulator. For now, though, let's take the one that we've got, and let's set up another little infinite water source down here. That should hopefully begin pumping water up into here. It does, and that produces the tiny dry rubber. And then we can take that tiny dry rubber, craft it into dry rubber, which we can then smelt into plastic. So that is the method we use there. Now, what we can do here is we can get a flat item node made in the exact same way as the fluid transfer node, but with normal transfer nodes, not fluid transfer nodes. And then what we could do is we could get a regular drawer, assuming we have the wood to do it, which we definitely do. We need some planks. And then I believe that we could also pull some of the plastic out of the latex processing unit up and into a storage drawer. Again, you shift right click like that, and then put this down like that. And there we go, we have plastic. I will go ahead and lock that. There we go. And if we were to get some trim, what we could then do is connect that drawer up to our system. Trim basically acts like a drawer. So, you know, for example, we have our drawer controller, and so long as the drawer is connected to the drawer controller via other drawers, it's accessible by the controller. The trim does the same thing, but without being a drawer. So if we do this and this, that's going to connect up this drawer with the tiny dry rubber to the system. So it's accessible by our drawer controller, and it's also accessible in here with the crafting grid. So if we look for plastic, sorry, not plastic, if we look for rubber, we see we have 11 rubber. Nice. People do recommend trying out a compacting drawer. I have not tested this, but it is quite possible. The compacting drawer will kind of take a step out of the process for us. Let me see. Does this work? Alas, it looks like it doesn't work. The idea being that it might have shown up the dry rubber. It might have done the autocraft. Because if you put, like, for example, iron in here, it does allow you to pull out both nuggets and blocks. Unfortunately, that does not work, chat. So the compacting drawer, not going to be too useful there. This will break the wood eventually. And so if we want this to be permanent, we'd want to get some kind of block placer. Which shouldn't be too difficult, actually. The one from Open Blocks here is pretty easy to make. I don't know if the one from Open Blocks will continually place blocks. I think it will, though, right? The block breaker was continually breaking blocks. Let's see. If we take our logs over here and we do something like this, making sure it's pointing in that direction, I think we can give this a redstone signal, fill it with logs, and then it should continually place logs down whenever this log is broken, ideally. So let's go ahead and get rid of this one for now. And it does retain the information, by the way. It's not like you can break the log and then reset the cycle. You'll see as soon as you put a new log down, it continues from where it left off with its like almost broken state. So you can't cheese it by breaking and replacing the log over and over and over again, unfortunately. But if we get rid of that, and what I'm going to do to test this, I'm going to put the lever down and turn it on. I'm then going to put the wood in. That looks like it works. So eventually this will break, and then a new one is instantly put down. Nice. So if we just get a bunch of logs here and fill up this block placer, over time, that should produce a bunch of latex that then is combined with water in the latex processing unit to make a bunch of the tiny dry rubber, which we can then, of course, go ahead and craft up and smelt into plastic. Now, people have been asking me for a while to upgrade my mattock, because we are still using this stone mattock here, and it is less than ideal. It has 5 modifiers as well, so we could, if we wanted to, look at making it unbreakable. So I think I'm just going to make it out of cobalt, because cobalt is fast, and we have a fair bit of it. So if we just go and throw some cobalt in here and take out that signalum gear. Actually, pivoting back to where we started, do we have what it takes to make the loot fabricator? Just a quick side pivot, chat. We actually don't have what it takes at all to make the loot fabricator. That's fine. I think we can make all that stuff fairly easily. But again, I will come back to that in a second. Let's grab the gold. Oh, we don't have the gold, of course. That was our problem. We don't have any gold. Let's break down some compressed cobblestone. People have pointed out that despite the fact that the numbers on the compressed cobblestone are low, the rolls are high. So it says rolls 9. So you actually get, like, it'll do it 9 times. Like, it'll kind of multiply this number by 9 for each run through. And actually, we can take double compressed cobblestone instead of regular compressed. And each one of these gets 81 rolls. So if we were to take this out and then put double compressed cobblestone in here, we can actually get things like gold quite quickly. Like, that's an ingot of gold. And then, as soon as we get up to 32, that'll be another ingot of gold. And we can get, like, iron and aluminum and silicon oxide quite quickly with this. Something I probably should have been doing earlier. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and throw some electrum on this as well. Just because we already have it and it's ready to go. Perfect. So, over in the old tool forge, if we do U, U, and U, that gets us so by default, it had a durability of 116. Our durability is going to go up to 440. Shovel level is cobalt, even though we're not going to be doing that too much. Axe level is iron. The mining speed goes up to 11.4, and we still have 5 modifiers remaining. So hopefully now, if we come over here and we go to cut this down, it's much quicker. And we get an electric lightning sound effect as well with every go. I believe that means it's, like, charged, like it's ready to go. That's like an electrum buff right there. All right. So we have a lot more wood now, and a lot of saplings, actually. We can put those away. So hopefully, by the time we come back to the next stream, we should have a good amount of plastic. We're already at 48. Again, it does take 9 to make 1 plastic there, so that's not as much plastic as, as I'd like. It's like 5 plastic, and we do need, a fair bit going forward, but hopefully that's going to be fine. Let us now, I guess, take a look at potentially getting these loot fabricators online, because if we're going to get to the end, we do need all of the pristine matter. And honestly, I think it might not be a bad idea, chat, for us to spend a little bit of time just killing more mobs, because right now we've got a 5% chance, right? So the quest wants us to get 8 pristine skeleton matter, 8 pristine creeper matter, and 8 pristine zombie matter with 4 pristine blaze matter. All of the matters have the same chance. So, for example, they all have a 5% chance at basic, an 11% chance at advanced, a 24% chance at superior, and then a 42% chance at self-aware. And basically, the lower the chance, the more polymer clay we have to use in order to get the pristine matter, right? So if we were to try and do it now with our 5% chance, that would mean that 1 in every 20 polymer clay gets us 1 pristine blaze matter. And if we need 4 pristine blaze matter, that means we're going to need about 80 polymer clay to get the 4 blaze matter. And then, 160 polymer clay per all of the pristine matters that we need 8 of, right? Which is a ton of polymer clay. Now, it's not crazy expensive, but we can drastically reduce that number. Like, we can cut it in half just by getting everything up to advanced, and then half again to getting up to a superior, and then half again getting it up to self-aware. So we can really bring those numbers down if we kill enough mobs, which I think is definitely worth it, given that it's not particularly easy for us to make massive amounts of clay. We can make quite a bit of it fairly easily, but if we want to make, like, truly huge amounts of it, I think it would be more effort than it's worth. And so I think what we might do is if we grab our deep learner, which should still have all of the mobs in there, it does, we can go and kill some more. Like, we're almost there on zombie. We have to kill 7 more zombies to level it up. And getting 12 creepers and skeletons shouldn't be a problem. And I think blazes might be the easiest out of all of them. So I think we'll spend a bit of time here, chat, trying to get all of these leveled up to at least advanced, potentially even further, depending on how it's looking. I think you have to get, like, an extra 30 kills on top to get to superior. So we might not do that. So I can turn on my night vision here, right? Yeah, and the night vision is actually real nice. It's less than ideal about the whole durability thing. So I do think... Oh, hello, everybody. I do think that what I will probably end up doing is spending a bit of time getting more levels and therefore more modifiers on our helmet. Perfect. All right. So we've upgraded all of the kind of overworldian mobs to advanced. The zombie, the skeleton, and the creeper. I do want to upgrade the blaze as well. I think the blaze is going to be the easiest of the bunch because, of course, we can just get a blaze spawner. So let's repair the tool, which I think is going to require some demon ingots, which, of course, is going to require some gold. And then let's head through to the nether and give that a try. All right. That gets us to advanced as well. I think we'll stop there for the four models. So we have each of the four at the advanced tier. Let's see if we can't get some pristine matter. So we have the simulation chambers. We actually don't need to use the loot fabricators just yet. All we have to do is put these guys down. Again, we'll put them down here for now. We'll find a better space for them in the future. And let's take... We'll do like skeleton and creeper, I guess, or skeleton and zombie even. We'll start with those two. So this one uses 80 RF per tick. This one uses 80 RF per tick. How much do you guys use? 80 and 256. Okay. So the blaze one could be a bit of a problem. We do have a good amount of power backlogged, I assume. Yeah. For the polymer clay, we of course need iron, lapis, gold, and clay. Gold we don't have. Lapis, we've got a little bit of, 44. You do get 16 polymer clay per lapis. So I think we've got enough lapis, and I assume we probably also have enough iron. I think 22 should be enough. We just need a bunch of clay. Clay is made from kaolinite. Kaolinite is made from water, silicon dioxide, and aluminum oxide. All of which I think we have. Aluminum oxide, silicon dioxide, and what was the last one there? Water. So let's make a bit of clay here. Thankfully in this pack we can craft the blocks down into clay. Like that. Which is very nice. And so hopefully that's going to get us a little bit of polymer clay. We do of course need gold, which as per usual we're out of, but thankfully again we can make, I think fairly easily with our double compressed cobblestone. I have been contemplating, by the way, like setting this up in such a way that, and I think it has been recommended to me a few times, but potentially setting this up. It does, the whole premise works on the assumption that we have enough drawers for everything. Aluminum is what we don't have right now. But if we were to move this up by one, to like here, and then do like this, we could auto pump things back into the drawers, right? So we can take the resources that are produced and pump them back around. And given that we do have quite a few spare hoppers here, we could take another one and put that on top as well. So for stuff like the double compressed cobblestone, we can just put it in there and have it slowly but surely pump that stuff around. We do, of course, still need to hook power up, but that is perfectly fine. There we go. And yeah, that should work so long as we have drawers for everything. Do we really not have a drawer for iron? I feel like we're missing a drawer or two. Also, I should definitely point out, and I'm sure people in the YouTube comments of the last episode, or the YouTube video, it's not gone out yet, but I'm assuming that people will point out, you actually don't need packing tape in this pack to break drawers. I'm going to lock these, by the way, even though they're empty, so that nothing goes in there until we manually put things in, like iron. Let me just check, do we have an iron drawer? We do. It's just full, of course. That makes a lot more sense than what I was thinking. Let me unlock that, and let me put an upgrade in there. There we go. We'll do, yeah, aluminum up there works. Let me lock that again when it's empty. But yeah, you can bizarrely just break these. So like, you know, over here we've got 1,000, 2,000 hydrogen, 4,000 oxygen, 2,000 barium, and then like 1,500 carbon. You can just break that, and it automatically gets packed. So you don't have to worry about things spilling. I assume the pack maker got a lot of reports of things, like people doing that and it spilling everywhere, so they tweaked it. All right, how are we doing on gold now? So yeah, there we go. We got a bunch of gold nice and quickly there, which is lovely. And so that should hopefully be some polymer clay. Again, we don't really need that much gold here because you do get 16 polymer clay per gold. And so we'll go for like a stack and a bit. And then we can go and put these in. So right now, we have... Is it a 20% chance? Oh, no, it's a 10% chance, right? Pristine matter. And again, they're all the same. So we have an 11% chance to get a pristine zombie matter, which means approximately 1 in every 10 polymer clay will get you a pristine matter. Even if it fails to get a pristine matter, and it will tell you if it's going to fail. Like right here, that one failed. This one failed. Even if it fails, you do get overworldian matter if you're doing an overworld mob, or hellish matter. If you're getting, if you're doing like a nether mob. Yeah, so there's overworldian, hellish, and extraterrestrial, which I believe is like end mobs. So stuff like the dragon and shulkers, stuff like that. But we can use the overworldian matter, for example, to more easily make clay, I believe. So the overworldian matter can be crafted with dirt to make clay. And dirt can be made with overworldian matter and stone. So if we were to automatically smelt some of the stone that we're getting from our cobblestone generator and have like a drawer of stone somewhere, we could then, and we could do that with like redstone flux maybe, but we could then use the stone with the overworldian matter to make dirt, and then use the dirt with more overworldian matter to make clay, which I think might be our best option for making polymer clay going forward. We do have 2 pristine zombie matters there, which is very lucky of us. So we'll swap that out to creeper. And keep that going. Did you have one? You do not have one yet. That's fine. So we do need 8 of each, actually, though. So actually, I know what I'm doing here. Let me take that out and put this guy back in. Yeah, we do need 8 of each polymer clay. Of each pristine matter. So that's probably going to take a little while. Again, if we think about it, 1 in 10, so you need approximately 10 polymer clay per pristine. We need 8 of each, right? So we need like a 240, I think, just for the zombie, skeleton, and creeper. And then slightly less for the blaze, like an extra 40. So I think 280 polymer clay, depending on... Obviously, we can get lucky and get more. We can get unlucky and need... we can get lucky and need less. We can get unlucky and need more. But approximately, I think, close to 300 polymer clay would get us there. That's not going to be crazy difficult, I don't think. Again, especially if we have the ability to make more clay more easily. And the only reason I mentioned the stone recipe for dirt is because that would be a good way to automate it. Of course, for us, if we want to get a lot of dirt, we can just use the coarse dirt method. But it's a lot more difficult to automate than it is to automate stone. For us, though, of course, we can just do this. Get more dirt, use silicon dioxide to get more gravel, and then use that gravel to make more coarse dirt, and then get a bunch of dirt that way, and then use that dirt to make clay, which I think is what we're going to do to try and get this pristine matter going. I should definitely put the angel ring, by the way, in my bobble slot. So you don't have to carry this around with you, at least not in your inventory, but you can put it in the bobble slot and free up that inventory space. We could probably automate this recipe down here for dirt, actually, fairly easily. Like, pulped biomass is just... sugarcane or cactus in the sawmill. And then slag is made in the induction smelter. Now, if you take cobblestone and sand and run those through the induction smelter, you actually have a 100% chance of getting slag. Cobblestone we're, of course, generating for free. And then sand, we can make from silicon dioxide, which we can get from cobblestone. So we can make sand for free. We can also generate it with the igneous extruder at the cost of just water. So we could, if we wanted to, set up a line of machines that produce the slag here. We are going to need the slag if we're going to use phytogrid going forward for the phytogenic insulator, which is that machine that I believe we've yet to make up in chapter 3. Yeah, this guy right here, that allows for auto farming. So we could use that, and we could use the phytogenic insulator actually to produce the seeds or carrots or beetroot, whatever it is. We could use the phytogenic insulator to grow the crops, to then produce the pulped biomass, to then craft with the slag to make dirt. All we'd have to do for the cactus, for example, is just throw down another vacuumulator and put down some blocks so that as the cactus grows, it just gets broken off and then sucked up by the vacuumulator, right? And the vacuumulator does kind of, I think, suck fast enough to where I think it could collect everything here. The Stoneworks factory does also produce sand, yeah. That's a fair point. We could use the Stoneworks factory. I don't know how fast that would be. Like how much pulped bioblend we'd get from that cactus. Right, like the recipe, we need 2, and it takes 4 cactus to make 1. But we've got infinite space. We can put down as much cactus as we like. And so that might not be a bad idea to look at getting automated dirt that way. Because then we can use that dirt, of course, to make clay. We can use the clay with iron to make polymer clay. The iron we can get from the zombies. Like if we run the pristine zombie data matter through a loot fabricator, we can get iron. And you get 16 iron for 1 pristine matter, which is great. And then at that point, all we need is lapis and gold, which is still not ideal because the lapis, I think, is definitely the hardest part. That's probably where something like the laser drill comes into play for making infinite lapis. But either way, I think that's a plan. I think that's definitely worth looking into in terms of getting polymer clay automated, which I think is definitely going to be worthwhile and is going to open up a lot of doors for us. It allows us to automate the production of things like iron. We can get redstone if we can get witches automated. We can get blaze powder, blaze rods, all that kind of stuff going if we can automate polymer clay.